Thanks for joining us here, as always, on Speed Racing Network. I'm Greg Olenek, joined by Brandon Domain, and, well, we're wrapping up the second round of the playoffs here in the Silverback Series, and, well, we're out in California once again. The trucks were here last week. The Silverback Series going to be here this week to wrap up their round of 10. Brandon, it's going to be an exciting race tonight. Two good ones so far this week. We've got our championship round set up in two of our series. We're going to make it a third here tonight.
Yeah, you know what? Why not end it with probably the closest race around this cut line that we've seen all week long? You've got five drivers within 5 points of the cut line on either side of that thing. Three of them within a single point around this. Unbelievable race to determine this as we close out the penultimate week here of the season for an SRN.
Using big words out here. I like it.
SAT.
Well, let's take a look at those standings since you kind of teased it a little bit there. Austin Reedy, who's just had pretty much a flawless round of 10 so far with the 4 win stickers next to his name. He's won the first 2 races. Going for a third here this week. If he can make it 3 in a row, he is going to be tough to beat when they get out to Vegas next week. Vincent Cortez, though, like you said, sitting there in second, but only 5 points above the cut line. Jacob Manning, Joshua Valiette, and Seth Reed not safe by any means, too. So Josh Susie, he's going to be that guy looking to possibly strike and ruin someone's day here, sitting above that cut line. Max Service, though, still within reach, but for everybody else, I think, well, their playoffs might be done.
Yeah, looking at the car count right now, there's not going to be enough points out there on the table for anybody. But one thing I'm looking at now, just to kind of tease a little bit on the starting grid, Joshua Susie, he's out qualifying now. That has some importance on these point standings here. That's 2 bonus points should he get the pole. One thing to keep in mind as this race goes, last night we talked about clinching scenarios a lot. Here tonight, it's real simple. Austin Reedy, he can finish 11th and he's fine. And then Vincent Cortez, Jacob Manning, Joshua Valiette, Seth Reed, Joshua Susie, they're only clinching scenarios to go out and win this dang thing. So it is real simple for those guys around that cut line.
Yeah, you can't go wrong if you win the race as far as Joshua Susie goes. And he's been running really well lately, so he can definitely get up there and possibly park that car on the 19th hole here tonight. But we will keep an eye out on each and every one of these guys, not taking my eyes off that Max Service machine too. He's been running really well of late as well. So let's go ahead and check out the other championship happening right now, and that's the team championship, and a good one last week here in the Silverback Series. Tank Racing, the 1 seed, getting a 5-point win over JW Racing. I mean, look at that, 116 to 111. You got 2nd, 3rd, and 6th place finishes from Tank. 4th, 7th, and 8th place finishes from JW. Hard to beat either of these teams, and, well, that's why they're going up against each other. Tank Racing taking that 1-0 lead here in the Auto Club.
I mean, you look at the records, they've lost a combined 7 matchups this entire season. So, of course, this is going to be a real close one. Those records about level going into the series. And, yeah, only 6 of the top 8 drivers last week were part of this championship matchup. So, a lot on the line for these guys in the individual side. All 6 of those that scored, they are in the individual side of the playoffs. You got a couple of others scattered in there as well. So, really double important here in this series.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and check out the 3rd place matchup too. We got Murray Reedy Motorsports going up against Phoenix Virtual Racing. This one not as close. Murray going to get the 1-0 lead over Phoenix Virtual Racing, and it's hard to beat Murray Reedy Motorsports right now with Austin Reedy out there.
Yeah, I mean, he's going out there winning everything, it seems, right now. 2 wins in a row. Craig Lautenslager with a solid run in 12th. Tyler Murray with a solid run as well in 16th. And for Phoenix, it was just, the numbers kind of caught up. I know it was 3-on-3, but when you have Austin Reedy, that's kind of like putting 2 out there right now. But they thought for Phoenix, get everybody back, get, Daniel Badler back in the fold, and Jeremy Little not out there tonight because of some reasons keeping him away. So that's still going to be basically what looks like a 4-on-3 matchup tonight.
Yeah, I'm only seeing 2 Phoenix drivers out there, actually, just Joby Ray and Daniel Bowler, both having good qualifying runs. We'll get to that in just a second, but got to give a big shout out, as always, to Butt Kicker before we go out there on the grid and get this 80-lap race underway here at Auto Club. If you need a gift or just anything for the sim racer in your life, this is definitely the way to go. Can't thank Butt Kicker enough for coming back on board here in Season 4, and hopefully we'll have them again in Season 5. Go ahead, check out what they have to offer over at thebuttkicker.com. And also, while you're at it, head over to silverbacktacks.com as well. It is that time of the season where you're going to be dealing with the IRS, and well, they're the ones to handle it for you. They will take care of you. Any problem you have, go ahead and dial 662-996-4357. And also got to give one more shout out to TJ's Team Foundation over at morethanacave.org. They definitely play a good role, a big role in helping families deal with pediatric cancer. So if you could donate anything, whether it's your time, money, or just word of mouth, it goes a very long way for those families. So like I said, can't thank all of our sponsors enough for coming on board here in Season 4 as we wrap up Season 4. So let's go ahead, waste no more time, and get on out there to the track and take a look at the starting order here tonight. And Seth Reed, well, he's used to starting up front. He's going to be starting P number 1 here tonight in a virtual tie on the front row. Jovi Race, you see it there. It was probably by a matter of 10 thousandths if I'm correct. I don't know how iRacing does it, but Jovi Ray is going to be starting second here. Michael Larch, Vincent Cortez in row 2.
Yeah, you mentioned that differential. It is down to the 10 thousandths because I'm showing an 8.72 for Reed, 8.73 for Jovi Ray, even though they both marked as 8.72 on iRacing. But row number 3, Cole Martin is going to be on the inside. Jacob Manning going to be the third JW Racing driver in that top 6. So he starts in position number 6. Daniel Bowdler and Nathan De La Rosa will make up row number 4.
Yep, Bo Tiffany, Lucas Lyons, row 5, Logan Truitt and Adrian Schumacher in row number 6. We'll put up the rest of the starting order here while we go ahead. Brandon, I know you love this part.
So much.
You like picking drivers out there. Who you got tonight?
All right. Well, I got somebody that volunteered as tribute, so I'm going to go with it because there's been a curse going around my picks lately. And Lucas Lyons said, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I've had bad luck lately. Maybe your bad luck and my bad luck can kind of mix together and cancel it out. So I'm hoping so for Lucas Lyons. Good luck, buddy. I got you tonight.
All right. Lucas Lyons going to be your pick. I'm going to go a little bit further on up, and I'm taking the man in the 2400cars.com machine. I'm taking Jovi Ray as my pick tonight. He is due for a win, looking for his 3rd win of the season. Can't really help him in those championship standings, but you know what? Why not go out there and win the dang thing regardless? Pace car going to head down pit road, and we're going to see them approach that Geico restart zone to bring out the Silverbacks Tax Solutions green flag. The first one here in the last chance, 160. So getting these cars up to speed, and Seth Reed gets out to a good jump over Jovi Ray, out about 3 car lengths right off the bat, but Jovi's going to settle in there in second, utilizing that low line, but just like that, 3 wide behind him. Vincent Cortez on the high side. That's Michael Larch in the 52. And then trying to see, is that Jacob Manning down there at the bottom? It is. He's quickly up to 3rd after starting 6th in this thing.
Man, and a little bit of a new look there on that 50 car kind of threw me off too. But yeah, I mean, this racetrack, I was thinking about it when we had those opening shots on that first lap, just how much I love watching this racetrack. And any series that comes here, you see a plethora of different lines that anybody can really go around. We were seeing 5 different lines around these turns, and even that front straightaway really creates the opportunities for big movement on that opening lap, like we saw from Manning with that +3.
This is definitely the epitome of a love-hate track. You love it when it goes good for you. I can speak on that behalf, and you hate it too when it's going against you, and I can also speak on that behalf because this is a hard track to master, especially in these B-class cars where there is little downforce, high speeds here, and these tires are just going to be wearing away. You see how loose that 23 is through 1 and 2. That's killing his momentum, and that's going to give Nathan De La Rosa a look to the inside.
Yeah, he absolutely took that run. He had the high line. You're turning it a little bit less. That's going to scrub off a little bit less speed, and you carry a ton of momentum. Cortez lost some momentum on the inside already, lost even more with just getting a little squirrely there, and that led to a huge run for De La Rosa, who's going to take that 4th position.
Well, it looks like my driver photo is not wanting to load here tonight, but Nathan De La Rosa quickly up to 4th. He's up 4 spots already, so some big movers and big fallers already, and that just shows you who's really pushing it early on, who's saving it early on. I mean, Michael Larch is already back to 9th after starting 3rd in that 52 machine. He's not racing for a championship, but JW certainly, as a team, is racing for a championship, so they're going to be feeling good right now. With Seth Reed out in front of this thing in that 51 machine and kind of putting a little bit of distance between him and Joey Ray, these two really separating themselves, both of them, about 0.8 of a second ahead of Jacob Manning back there in 3rd.
Yeah, they're really pulling away. And just to kind of touch back on us talking about guys that are moving through the pack, I'm counting already 4 different drivers that are 4 positions or more in the plus side of things right now. Nathan De La Rosa +4 up to 4th. Lucas Lyons +4 up to 6th. Joshua Susi +5 up to 8th. And then Austin Reedy +5 now up to 12th. So our points leader, he needs a 13th or better after qualifying ended. And without a pole position for Joshua Susi, he's already there right now. He just got to hang on for the next 75 laps.
And there's Adrian Schumacher back there too. These tank drivers mired a little further back than the JW guys so far. Seth Reed and Jacob Manning, they're 1st and 3rd. With Joshua Susi in 8th, Michael Larch in 10th. Your highest running tank driver is going to be Vincent Cortez in 6th. And then you got Joshua Balliet, Adrian Schumacher, and Devin Zimmerman back there 13th through 15th. So I have no doubt we will see those tank drivers move their way up slowly but surely. But right now, JW looking like the stronger team here through 6 laps.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it a little bit ago, but I think part of the strategy from Tank right now is just not abusing these tires early on. And you know, this is a really rough surface. You can see the amount of bumps that these guys are going over, but it's a very difficult surface on the tires as well. There's a reason they were going to have to resurface this track in real life if they didn't just outright sell it and have to reconfigure it and things like that. That was going to happen anyway because it's getting to the point where, oh, there's a great look at how tough this surface is. We're only 7 laps in and these tires are starting to go. Part of that's going to be you can see those seams that are kind of being those lane markers. What those seams also do is really break that car loose if you catch it at the wrong point.
I mean, you can see right here how bumpy the back straightaway is too. I was telling the guys in the truck race last week, I should say, I might have to turn my force feedback down a little bit because the bumps were just so aggressive. It was wearing my arms out like crazy, and you could see that really taking place in that 66 machine. Great onboard cam right there. So he's falling back a little bit, probably going to take it easy after that. Well, I'm going to call it a near spin because that thing was all but spun out there. You said it, hitting those seams is not what you want to do. Got to be careful when you get on the gas, and he's taking it a little easier this time through 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, glad to know you got not just the win, but a good bicep pump going last week on this with the force feedback. But yeah, those seams, I mean, you're going to come across them during the turns. It's just trying not to be throttling up too much when you hit them or not trying to turn the wheel too much when you're over them because it just catches so differently compared to the surface and really wants to snap that car around like we just saw with the 66 a couple laps ago.
Yeah, so one of the better battles right here between Susi and De La Rosa. This is for 6th place at the moment. They're trying to run down Vincent Cortez ahead of them. I can't imagine Vincent is going to feel comfortable losing too many more spots after he has already lost 1 and starting 4th place. So he is one of those drivers coming into this week that cannot afford a bad week. Pretty much all the drivers except for Austin Reedy cannot afford a bad week. So this is going to be possibly one of those races where we see Austin Reedy take hold again at the end, run a different strategy, and possibly come away with another win. He really doesn't have anything to lose tonight.
Well, and I tell you what, Austin Reedy, I'll kind of check you on that a bit. He still can't afford a bad week. I know there's only 23 out in the field, but with Joshua Susi running 6th right now, that's still wide open to create a 13-point gap and knock Austin Reedy out of this thing, or a big enough gap, for Austin Reedy to get knocked out of this thing if Susi does come up there and win. Right now, Susi is going to have to move up a few more spots for that to be possible, but he's not far away from being in that spot where if Reedy is the last place finisher, Susi alive and well and trying to pass him and knock him out, even if Cortez, Manning, Balliet, and Reed stay where they are.
So we'll see and try to keep you posted on those points as it goes tonight. Already done with 10 laps, working lap 11 right now. And speaking of working, Austin Reedy working on Michael Large. He's taking a look to the inside. If he gets this spot, that'll be 8 positions gained already by Austin Reedy. So he's taking it easy out there so far because we still have a long night ahead of us. Just behind him, though, there's Joshua Balliet, one of those drivers that's like 1 or 2 points. Can't remember. I think he's a 1-point cushion over the cut line, which is just crazy considering the regular season that this man had. You can tell he was definitely one of the stronger cars here coming into the playoffs along with Jacob Manning. But right now, really staring down the possibility of falling out, especially with Susie up there in 6. Balliet's got to go.
Well, I'm a big numbers guy. I'm a nerd like that, and I can tell you. Yeah. Well, last night on the truck side, 6th place, 7th place, 8th place, and 6th, 8th, 9th, and 10th in the first round. They all advanced to the championship 5 at the end of round number 2. Here tonight, the top 3 drivers after round number 1, Manning, Balliet, and Reed, all within 3 points of being out at the end of this race. We are seeing giant shakeups from one round to the next, and how this is going shows the importance of those playoff points in round number 1, but those got nixed when they came to round number 2. Everybody started on equal ground, and we're seeing big shakeups for some of these guys that barely made it into this second round.
Let's head back up front as Joshua Balliet continues to work on Bo Tiffany. Jovi Ray is hanging in here with Seth Reed. He's not letting him get away here. Jovi going to take it easy here, I imagine, for a few laps. That tire wear really going to start to set in, especially once we get around lap 18 to 20. That is when you'll really see who's been saving and who's been kind of burning their stuff up. Right now, both these drivers look really good, not really feeling too tight from what I'm seeing on the onboard camera, but that can change in a hurry here in Fontana. But just like that, starting lap 14, Seth Reed has led them all.
And that's a good sign for him. A, he's got that 1 bonus point. B, he's preventing anybody else from picking up that bonus point. And he's also well on his way to maybe getting the most laps led. And that's 4 points right out of the gate with the pole, lap led, and the most laps led. Should he hang on to that? And at this pace, he's doing a pretty good job of it. I think we're right at that point, though, where these tires are going to start to show themselves. If you've been abusing them a little bit early on, this is where they're really going to start to hit. And you're going to see a difference of a couple tenths a second a lap, if not a little bit more, from those that did a better job of saving versus those who were aggressive.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying, too. I'm a big Seth Reed fan. Never been on the same team as the guy. But, man, I've had a lot of great battles with him here in the Silverback series. So much so that it came down to us sitting on the cut line to make it into the final 5. I was able to get in, and he did not. But, man, I am pushing for him to have a run at the championship right now, and he is looking strong so far in that 51. So your top 5 through 15 laps, Seth Reed, Jovi Ray, Jacob Manning, Lucas Lyons, and Josh Susie. So we're going to step aside real quick, run a quick commercial break, and come right back with some green flag action.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Right back out here to the last chance, 160. Here comes Jacob Manning coming to life. He's making a move to the inside of Jovi Ray here for second place and possibly going to try to start running down his teammate. He looks like he's going to clear him, shuts the door on Jovi here. Jovi just going to let him have it, I think. He probably could have crossed him over there if he really wanted to, but Jovi thinks better of it and settles in third. Jacob really saving these tires really well here early on. We've seen some doors being shut during that commercial break, and especially by some playoff drivers. That has got to be a little nerve-wracking. And I think you know who I'm talking about. Josh Susie made that move on Lucas Lyons, and we were like, ooh, that is dicey.
As these tires are starting to go and we start closing in towards the end of that fuel window, these guys taking some big chances right now and trying to cut off these runs when they get a chance. And at this point in the run, I'm not going to say it's really hard to make passes, but because there's so many options, these guys can play defense pretty well. You can run that high line, get the momentum, and I think that's where we're seeing all those, the slide job, which became very popular a couple of years ago with the term. We're seeing that shine now because they have to do that to stop that run on the outside line, and we're seeing these guys as we get later and later in this run really taking advantage of it, trying to keep all the momentum that they can if they're on that low line.
I'm telling you what, I really like the entry after watching Susie's line into turn 1 and 2 right there. He's just running a really solid line in that 53 through 1 and 2 and using that second lane through 3 and 4. Typically that's the way you go here. That second lane is kind of the dominant lane, not too far and using too much wheel to get all the way to the bottom. But watch him going into turn 1 this time, uses a little bit of a higher approach and gets to that apex just at the right time to kind of drive out and get a good run out. And, of course, he's not going to do it this time.
Well, he's getting there. He's getting there. There we go. But I think that's the ideal line. I think when California Auto Club, whatever you want to call it at that time, when it first had that pavement put down, everybody was using that inside line. It was just the way to go. And then over time, as that started to wear out, they started drifting up higher and higher where there was a little bit more fresher pavement. Now the high line in real life is pretty well dominant, but that low line is still worn out enough that I think there is that detriment to it. That second line is kind of become that new way where that low line is the apron of sorts. Second line kind of took its place as that inside line.
So here's Vincent Cortez starting to get his nose up here in the game. He's taking it easy for a little while now after falling back one spot. Starting fourth here tonight in that 23 machine, and right now knocking on the door of Susie. Look a little further back. Austin Reedy making the pass on Lucas Lyons back there in the 96 machine. He's up 9 spots now, bringing Daniel Bowdler along with him too in that 6. Lucas falling back here quickly. Might have burned his stuff up a little bit too much. He is dying to get to that pit window, I think, in that 48.
And can I bring up one thing? We were talking about tank drivers kind of sitting back a little bit. Here they come through the field because I'm watching Joshua Balliet now +5. Devin Zimmerman now +6. Max Service, he's starting to make some passes and regain back ahead of where he was after qualifying. Dropped a couple spots early on, now pulling his way back up to the 14th spot. These tank guys, they're playing the long game, and they're starting to pick up some spots.
Yeah, Max Service here in 14th. He's got Logan Truitt to his inside now, though. Devin Zimmerman just in front of him, as well as Cole Martin. Not an easy group to pass by any means. At what point do you start stressing out? I mean, Max comes in still within reach. 15 points is a lot to ask for, but we've seen bigger swings happen here in SRN. When do you think the panic mode sets in for Max? I don't know if he has a panic button. The guy seems pretty chill all the time.
Yeah, I don't think he really ever panics, but I think it's going to come with pitch strategy. I think he's got to flip the script on everybody at this point. Maybe not on this stop, but this is going to be a 2-stop race, very likely at this rate. So I think he's going to have to do something really atypical if this thing goes green. That's when we're going to see him really try to make up those spots. But looking at the running order right now, it's hard to see where those points are going to come from unless something happens to somebody else, as we saw Cole Martin have something happen to him.
Yeah, he got into the wall big time. You can see the right side of that 10 pancaked pretty badly. That's going to affect the handling here. Devin Zimmerman gets on by. That happened just in front of him. He gets by cleanly, and then school bus paint scheme. But Max Service here looking like he is utilizing that high line big time. He's going to make it 3 wide possibly off of 2. Thinks better of it with his teammate just in front of him.
Man, there's a ton of momentum up there if you can do it right. The problem is it is still a little dicey up there. It gets pretty slick, especially late in the run, so you definitely have to have some confidence in doing that. And I'm starting to see a little bit more chatter pop up. I'm wondering if we're about to start to see some pit stops here. I've got it around 30 laps is what they're able to do, so it would make sense that we might start seeing this come up, and here we go.
Cole Martin and Bo Tiffany bringing it down pit lane for their first stop of the night. So, yeah, I think that's going to open the floodgates, especially with our leader, Seth Reed, having a mirror full of... Oh, Jacob Manning getting into the wall a little bit there. I think that's usually your cue as the leader to come down. By the time that car gets to you, you duck down, give up the spot, and kind of do the undercut strategy to kind of build that lead up again. But right now, Seth looks like he's just going to race his teammate.
And I'm curious, JW's always got all the resources there with people in their ear and things like that. Austin Reedy going to come down this time, so he's going to be the first of the top 10 drivers to make a pit stop. For JW, I'm curious if they thought, there's a couple guys that got into the wall, that maybe that's kind of more what it was. But I think now with Reedy coming down, that might be the sign that it's go time for these pit stops. And here we go as Jacob Manning going to use the outside. He's going to take the lead. Now he's going to stay out an extra lap here just to get that lap led regardless of what happens. So there's no doubt he stays out this time by. Seth Reed might be the one that comes, though, if anybody does.
Yeah, it's not many times that you see Jacob Manning in a pressure-filled race as they both stay out this time. I'd say the only time he's felt any pressure is when he won the championship last season here in the Silverback Series. So right now, though, not much cushion for our defending champion as you see Jovi Ray coming down pit lane. Lucas Lyons also coming down, as well as Craig Lautenslager this time by. But, yeah, Jacob Manning, be curious to see how he does in these pressure-filled races so far. Looking really strong here on the long run, which, we could very well see this thing stay green with how big this track is and how spread out these cars get. This could be a Jacob Manning type of race here as he leads Seth Reed through 3 and 4.
And you just touched on a big part of it. These guys are getting really spread out, and that's going to make it where there's a lot of clean racing. And the big thing, here we go, Seth Reed going to come down pit road. He's going to have some company with him as Vincent Cortez going to jump down pit road also. So a couple of our playoff drivers above that cut line coming down. But just to kind of touch back on Jacob Manning, you talk about clean racing, huge difference for his runs. When he has incident points in the playoffs, he's averaging a 14th place finish. When he's running a clean race, averaging a 4th. So this is the kind of race that is going to do very well for Jacob Manning. A lot of space out there, can make it where he can stay out of some of that trouble that's been finding him during the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine we are going to see him make his stop here. First stop of the night coming for our leader. And, yep, he's going to bring it on down pit lane, try to get everything he can out of it. Ooh, that was close. We'll have to see. Think he got it woed down, but getting everything he can out of that stop. So that's going to cycle the lead out to this man, Josh Susi. A very important lap led here for the 53.
There's a lot of drivers above that playoff cut line right now that are thinking, dang it, why did he have to stay out right now? And it's to lead that lap. Not many guys wanted him to do that, though, because any advantage they'll get from leading a lap, that is now cut out the window because Susi picking up that bonus point last time by.
Yep, so I have to imagine that's going to force his hand as he sees these guys flying by him. That's Cole Martin on fresh tires. Here comes the 53 down pit lane.
Little tire smoke as he was coming off the racing surface there. See if he gets it wound up, and that's a nice job of recovering that. Looked like he might have been in danger of coming in pretty hot, but did a great job of getting that thing wound up. And man, I tell you, that entry to 3, I think he kind of pushed up the racetrack a little bit more than he intended. He called it out before he got to 3, but that's a little sketchy there for a moment.
Smart move, I think, all around. All we're seeing right now is the JW cars leading. We've had Seth Reed lead. We've had Josh Susie lead. Jacob Manning lead. And now Michael Larch out in front, so they are taking advantage of those bonus points. Down 1-0 in that team championship. That is huge in regards to the points they score this week. Michael Larch going to come down this time.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind it's the top 3 scoring drivers that are scored each week. There's no guarantee that all 3 of them are going to be the ones that lead a lap. Now they've got 4. Oh, back service around.
Wow. Great move by Logan Struett and Nick Halda back there to get by them, but that could have easily happened just in front of Michael Larch, but luckily he was ahead of that. Unfortunate for Max Service, who we were saying was one of those drivers that's going to have to take advantage of it on pit road. New leader, though, Adrian Schumacher now. That's a tank driver looking to get a bonus point.
Yeah, and he'd be the first one here in this race as that blinking issue that's been plaguing him lately kind of showing up there for just a brief moment. It seems like it's been pretty clear compared to some of these past nights. Oh, loose, big time loose.
Wow. Not sure what happened there, if he like downshifted too early or something.
That's what that feels like.
Yeah. Feel like I heard the revs really high on this car, which just kind of bogged down the rear. It kind of broke it loose back there. But these are the last 3 drivers to come down: Schumacher, Bayer, and Jack Johnson. That's going to cycle the lead out to, well, this man, Austin Reedy, but he has got a mirror full of Jacob Manning behind him.
Yeah, problem for him, he did do the undercut, so he's got a lot more time on fresher tires compared to everybody on the older ones. But now here come the fresher tires here, about 4 laps younger as Jacob Manning now to the inside. This one might not take too long. Not going to be a giant difference, but it's going to be enough of a difference here for this lead change.
And important to note, too, unfortunately, it didn't even work out for him where he could lead a lap. Jacob Manning gets by him here. I believe Schumacher led that last lap on pit road. And no bonus point for Austin Reedy in regards to the lap led, so he is going to have to try that again. But I think he is pretty safe if he just keeps that car running on the track. But every point matters here because you never know what could possibly happen. Seth Reed now taking a look to the outside. Him and Manning separated by 1 lap. Reed coming down earlier, but Manning coming out ahead.
Yeah, that just tells you the quality of the time on pit road, just being a lot faster down there. Obviously, the pit stops are going to work out roughly around the same amount of time with a couple of things thrown in there, like your positioning inside the box. But that just tells me that Manning did a better job of getting down on the pit road and keeping that momentum going, but still keeping that gap right now. What this is going to do, Seth Reed does not want to see this. Obviously, on the team side, he might love to see this lead here for Jacob Manning, but this is kind of killing his chances a little bit and maybe leading the most laps, something that Manning could definitely use, only being 3 points clear, but Reed wants it even more, being 1 point clear.
And take a look at the tower, too, on the side, the scoring tower. Something we really haven't seen all week is all the green migrating towards the top. So those are your drivers sitting above the cut line coming into this week. And, well, if it stays this way, all 5 of those more than likely will be moving on to the championship 5. Josh Susie going to try and break into that mix as well. He's got a 1 lap fresher tires than Balliet and 2 laps on Cortez, 4 on Austin Reedy. So he's got the freshest tires out of all those drivers in the top 5, but Susie going to have some ground to make up in that 53.
And I'm kind of looking through the field to see if anybody else has some fresher tires that might play a factor in this, but there's a pretty good buffer until you get back to a Michael Larch and a Logan Truett that are going to have much fresher tires than these guys here by a couple laps even. And they're sitting back right now, and we're looking at about 14th, 15th position, 10 seconds back. So I think this tire strategy, the way that everybody came in, really maximizing their time right now and doing a good job of balancing not just how they're going to have to race the track, but race the pit strategy as well.
So there you see Susie working on Balliet to possibly break into that top 5. Not going to be an easy pass, especially when you're going up against that team ahead of you. Just to give you an update, JW currently 1st, 2nd, and 6th with a plethora of bonus points so far. Tank Racing starting to move up, like you said. Vincent Cortez, Joshua Balliet, they're currently sitting 4th and 5th with Devin Zimmerman back there in 12th place. So Tank is starting to make their way up, but Susie got a good run off of 2 right back there. He's going to be working on Balliet here.
And while this has been a clean race, we've learned over the first couple weeks of calling these team championship series races and the third place matchup series races, it just takes one driver having a problem, and all of a sudden that whole thing gets flipped upside down. So I wouldn't count anything out. And if you start looking, you got Michael Larch sitting back in 14th with Nick Helda in 19th as the non-scoring JW drivers right now. Schumacher and Service for Tank are 16th and 17th. So those non-scoring drivers all running pretty close to each other right now.
Yeah, so watching the battle here unfold for 5th place. Not many other better battles happening out there on the track so far. Trying to see what else we got going on. Jacob Manning pulling out to a 4/10 of a second lead over Seth Reed as Josh Susie is able to clear Joshua Balliet, but not so fast. The 7's still fighting strong there on the outside.
There's a great visual of what we were talking about earlier with the momentum that high line can carry, even with the longer way around the front stretch. But great job here keeping this. This is very respectful but very tough racing with each other, keeping a nice gap there between each other. But Susie is going to prevail with that inside line.
So a little bit further back here, we got Cole Martin kind of salvaging a good run in 9th place after pancaking the Walt big time. Daniel Bowdler just behind him. But the man behind him, Jovi Ray, is a lap down in that 24 machine after he was up here contending for the lead at the beginning of this race. So a mistake by Jovi Ray pins him a lap down here after the first round of green flag pit stops halfway through the Last Chance 160. We're going to step aside real quick and run another commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacttax.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Well, back out here at the Last Chance 160. Jacob Manning making everything of that last chance. He's gotten out to a pretty good lead, getting close to stretching it out to a second. We saw that 50 car come to life on the long run, and well, he's got 15 laps on this set of tires. This is his time to shine. As you see him almost put 0.2 of a second through turn 1 and 2 on set 3. The 50, the fastest car on the track.
Yeah, he is absolutely flying right now. In fact, the only car that's running a faster lap last time by is about 4 laps fresher tires near the back of the pack, and that's Adrian Schumacher. So anybody within reason of this tire life just not able to keep up with Jacob Manning this last time by. See how that holds this time. Joshua Susi actually looking like he might have been running the fastest lap just by a touch. So he's starting to move through. And not long ago, he was running in 6th, now up to the 4th position.
Yeah, we were watching him during the commercial break, and he made 2 passes to move on up into 4th place to kind of break up that top 5. That was all drivers above that cut line. And do not forget that Josh is 1 point below that cut line. So right now, Balliet and Cortez, they have to be feeling a little bit of pressure here. Not much room to give. I mean, a 6th place finish could easily end your day, especially if you're Joshua Balliet back there in 6th. You see him with a 1 point cushion. Seth Reed also with that 1 point cushion, currently running in 2nd place with a bunch of laps led. So he's got an extra bonus point there too. Right now, Balliet is the one to watch so far.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of danger right now, especially with Susi being a couple spots up. Balliet, I do not believe, led a lap during that pit cycle that went through under green, as Susi now gets around Austin Reedy for the 3rd position. So Susi on the charge. Balliet not much slower pace-wise, but man, that's starting to get a little dangerous here for Balliet as we come up to 30 laps to go. And one thing I'm keeping an eye on, when we talk about the playoffs, non-playoff drivers 8th through 10th, Larch, Bowdler, and Zimmerman have been battling it out big time for the past couple laps, nearly wrecking a couple times with how close they've been racing. This has been one of the best action we've seen on track in quite some time, as they just now start to line up a little bit single file, but there's some 3-wide racing for quite some time.
Yeah, and you went back during the commercial break to figure out what happened to Jovi, and he kind of just had a bad entry into his pit stall, pinned himself against the wall, and well, added a whole bunch of time onto his pit stop. Unfortunately, losing the lap with a really fast car here tonight. He'll have to get some luck with that being a caution to possibly get back in this thing. But right now, Larch leading this very tightly contested pack up here. So 2 close packs here in the field, led by Josh Susi and Michael Larch a little bit further back. Susi now setting his sights on joining his teammates. It's a JW 1, 2, 3 at the moment.
And then you got Tank sitting 4, 6, and 9, which not going to be enough there. And we talked about how there's some strategy on coming down pit road. Jonathan Byer looks like he's going to be the one that's going to take the biggest swing of them all at trying to get that strategy down. So we know that they can go about 33 laps max. 31 laps to go. Byer going to be the first taker on this final pit stop if it stays green the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I think you're really starting to see that pressure play into Joshua Balliet now. He is getting up here to mix it up with his teammate just in front of him, Vincent Cortez, as we start lap number 50. Staring down the very real possibility of seeing this thing go green flag the whole way, so he cannot afford to waste much more time. And the driver that he needs to pay attention to is in that pink car. 2 cars ahead of him. Well, he needs to clear him by 2 spots now to really seal that spot with this point, with the bonus point for Josh Susi. So Balliet going to need that 7 car to come to life here in these last 30 laps.
And here's the crazy thing. We keep talking about, the different playoffs. We talk about the team championship. That team championship right now, 5 of those 6 drivers are all trying to get above that cut line or stay above that cut line to get to the championship race. I don't know if team allegiances are even going to come into play right now in that team championship battle because of what's at stake on the individual side. This is a really interesting kind of internal battle that these guys are going to be having to go through.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Tank, because we know they are very formidable as far as the team championship goes, but I'm not sure they have anything for JW here tonight. Like I said, 1, 2, 3 so far. Larch back there in 8th too. So a lot of these guys having a great run. Nick is a little bit further on back there in 17th, but still in this thing. Balliet gets into the wall a little bit there. That's something to take note of.
Yeah, and this is a track, last night we saw some trucks have some beat up damage on the right side at Gateway, and we talked about how that's not a big deal at a track like that. It's a big deal at a track like Auto Club. You want that arrow to be in line with those cars. Any damage on that right side is going to throw off the balance of that car. And we saw Balliet starting to move forward, and that's when that happens, going to kill all that momentum as well.
And also, you got to take into account, too, you get that bonus point for a clean race. I don't think it was a big enough hit there to give him a 1 point there on his incidents, but that can also cost him a point, and that would really shift the focus to gaining 3 spots on Susie, which would be really hard to do considering how well Jacob Manning is. That means the Balliet would have to win this race to really seal his spot. But right now, the side of the car is telling me right there that I don't think he got that bonus point or that incident point.
Yeah, I don't think the incident point, but I think there's still some damage there. I think it's a little bit masked by the paint scheme with how kind of it's wavy there, but I still feel like I saw a little bit of crinkling along that side.
Yeah, so he is going to be wanting to get that fixed in a hurry, but right now starting to fall back a little bit from his teammate there, Vincent Cortez, who we saw him trying to run down a few laps ago. Let's go check in on another tank driver a little bit further on back. Adrian Schumacher here in 12th place. He's working on Logan Truitt to the inside of that 65. So that is your 4th highest running tank driver. So your top 3 so far are going to be Vincent Cortez, Joshua Balliet, as well as Devin Zimmerman. A few other drivers coming down this time. Nick Halda going to bring it down as well as Jackson Wade.
Jackson Wade and Jovi Ray coming down. That was the race for the lucky dog position. So they're both going to come down on the same lap. Halda going to come down. He's going to try to play that little atypical pit strategy, I think, for JW. Kind of play that safety net. Should something go a little bit haywire here near the end of this race, maybe that alternate pit strategy could be something that holds on to this big gap that they've built over, well, I can't even say a big gap, but a big enough gap over Tank right now in the running order.
So a great camera here on the front stretch. Just kind of shows you how just ridiculously long these straightaways are. I mean, you see these cars coming for, it seems like, minutes here. Just a huge track out here on the West Coast as you see all the drivers funnel on through here. All of them trying to run down this man, Jacob Manning. I do want to give a little bit of a note here. Seth Reed seems to be coming a little bit more to life now. More so than he did on the last long run. Seth might have learned a thing or two here in that 51. He's hanging in there with Jacob, down 0.8.
And I tell you what, the big difference right now is Manning is really driving it in deep to these turns. Meanwhile, Seth Reed is kind of backing up the entry and getting a big run out of the turn and maximizing that pace coming out on the straightaways where you're going to be making up quite a bit more time, especially with where he is in terms of the draft. So you see that difference about 0.3 last time by. It's going to be about similar this time. And now he is well within that draft where he's going to get a pretty good toe going right here. And there you see it, another 0.3 just in the last mile.
Yeah, he is coming to life. That's got to be feeling good for Seth Reed. After that first run didn't really go the way he wanted. He led a bunch of laps at first. Jacob Manning runs him down at the very end before they go down pit lane. Now he's flipping the script and doing the same thing to Jacob Manning as we see 24 laps to go on the board. That hashtag Go Faster is screaming at these guys. And also don't want to take away Balliet, also one of the faster drivers that last time by too. So the 7 still got a little bit of speed out there.
Certainly does. I'm watching this, and there we see that kind of switch again in the interval, though, because Manning pulled away a little bit on entry. Reed closed that gap and then some on the exit. See what happens here. That last time in 3 and 4, I thought maybe Manning started to kind of play it back a little bit and back up his entry himself, but I don't think he's really doing that. I think he just had a little bit of a slower entry last time by. This time, I think we're still seeing that that's the trend. Better run in for Manning, better run out for Reed, and he's being able to capitalize on the straightaway speed.
Yeah, Manning's still able to hang in there. Reed definitely looks stronger through the middle portion of the turns, but Manning definitely taking notes, seeing what his teammate Reed is doing back there. 2 of these guys, both some of the best drivers we have here in the Silverback series, so can't imagine that they're withholding too much information from each other. Probably trying to help each other out as we see Zimmerman, Lautenschlager, and Bishop on pit road.
And you know what? Maybe we know that there's some guys that listen to the broadcast. So, hey Jacob, kind of wiggle the car a little bit if you're listening to the broadcast, and we'll know that you picked it up from what from what we were talking about.
Don't do that. You are not safe by any means right now, and you are working to make it into the final. Do not listen to Brandon. It's a trap. It's a trap. But yeah, definitely within that draft, helping that 51 to gain up on the 50 here. You're going to see that probably go down to about exactly 3/10 here. If Reed is able to utilize that draft, maybe needs a little bit more to get a lot of speed down the back straightaway. But you can see the entries. Reed definitely using a wider approach into the turn to kind of get him a straighter run through the center of the turn. But Manning is still really able to get the speed off of each of these turns, which is definitely helping him withhold that spot and that gap over the 51.
And one thing, too, that we don't really talk enough about, I don't think, is the air quality that happens, too. And yes, the draft is great. You get that pull, and you can just move so much easier because there's less air interference. But as you get closer, especially in the turns, one thing that can happen, though, is that air just gets really disturbed. And that's where you get that dirty air term that you hear a lot when you start watching racing. And that does mess with the handling of the car. So sometimes the closer you get, the worse your car is going to run. And that might be part of what we're seeing here, too, where Reed, and I think he's coming down pit road this time. Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, that made me nervous. That was a pucker moment for sure as he comes down with 20 to go. I had to imagine he was going to do that because he split it up evenly on 30 last time, coming down here on lap number 60. So he's going to try and utilize that undercut to possibly get ahead of his teammate. We saw Manning come out ahead of him last time. Manning using up everything on the pit entry, nailed it, and that time mattered here in the end. See how long the 50 decides to stay out. He came down one lap after his teammate last time.
He's got to do it this time because normally I would say maybe wait a couple more laps and use the counter on the overcut a little bit, but he doesn't have enough life left in that fuel tank to really make that work. So here he comes this time by, trying to minimize it. Little shaky, but I think he got that down in time on that pit speed. You can kind of go about 55 and a half, which, oh, wow, I don't, if that's accurate, I don't like that.
I don't think it's very accurate. It jumps around quite a bit here on the SDK, so I don't think he would get away with it either. We know all too well that iRacing would eat him up if that was the case. You can kind of get away. Yeah, there's that 1 mile an hour buffer, but too much over that, he will catch that black flag. So I'm just going to go off on a limb and say that was incorrect.
Yeah, that's got all the belief there on that one, but that's going to cycle the lead out to Joshua Susi, who did lead last time by. He's going to come down pit road now, but the problem here is Balliet. This is huge right now.
Yep.
He's going to pick up a lap lead for the first time tonight, and that's a huge bonus point for Joshua Balliet.
I mean, Susi had no choice. You can't really play defense as far as that goes because he could shoot himself in the foot. Balliet could easily turn the script and say, all right, well, I'll just come down pit road if you're going to prohibit me from leading a lap and really get out ahead of Susi here. So I think that was the right move in regards to the 53 and the track position here. Like you said, not much time here to really salvage anything. Balliet definitely going to be coming down this time, I have to imagine.
Yeah, and the problem is, though, by staying out to lead that bonus point, get that bonus point, yes, you picked up 1 point, but you're also 2 seconds slower on that last lap behind every other leader that's in contention here for that. Oh, caution out on the racetrack as Balliet hit pit road.
Yeah, Bowdler saying around in the grass here on the front straightaway.
I might have an idea what might have happened here, and we'll probably see that when we get to the rec replay because there's been a removal.
All right, well, let's go ahead and queue up that admin box rec replay here.
And if it's the combination, I think it is. Yep, combination, I think it is. During the commercial break, I heard some driver chatter. And these two were not enjoying each other's company tonight, and I think that was the end of it.
Yeah, the admins didn't even wait. Lucas Lyons was still sliding in the grass, and he was ejected just like that. So they definitely were watching these two. We'll take a closer look. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd say the 48 definitely turned down. Into the 6, knowing he was probably there. And, well, he's going to be packing it up here. And I'd have to imagine that's going to pack it up for the rest of his season. I don't think the admins probably let him get on out there next week. And Brandon, we like to have fun, but that is not our version of fun whatsoever.
Yep.
So hopefully Lucas can get that cleaned up if he is going to be joining us here in season number 5. But hey, we got pit stops happening here. Logan Truitt going to come down, but man, this is going to be huge for one man, and I think you know who I'm talking about.
And that's, I mean, it's unfortunate what we see when you see drivers kind of do that stuff out there, but what it did is absolutely flip this playoff race upside down. Joshua Balliet hit pit road right as that caution came out. He was on pit road, legal pit stop. He's good to go, and because of that, he is now the race leader.
With the freshest tires, too. I mean, he's got a lap on Josh Soucy. Now, granted, Josh Soucy didn't really put much on those tires here. Granted, he was coming out as that happened. But still, man, this is pressure-filled moments. If you're in that 53 and 7 up front, Jacob Manning back there in third. Seth Reed can't even feel too comfortable now after he's had a great race back in fourth. So, yeah.
Well, and one thing that might go in the favor of Manning, Reed, and Cortez, who have a few laps, not many, a few laps on their tires. Balliet is going to have ice-cold tires aside from these caution laps. Same for Max Service, who has 1 lap on the tires. Same for Jack Johnson, who I think he's running in 10th now. But those guys with 1 lap, those are going to be some icy-cold tires minus these caution laps. They're going to need to build some heat in those. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of wear on the tires for guys like Manning, Reed, and Cortez with a couple laps extra on there. They might be able to get a quicker launch on this first lap, but they still got to make some work here in passing cars.
Well, like we said, we do not advocate what just happened whatsoever, but man, that is going to really amp things up here when we go back to green with 14 laps to go. My goodness, I know for a fact that there are some sweaty palms, Brandon, I think we could say, out there on the track right now, and probably a lot of quiet comms, as that has probably just made everybody tense up. I mean, everybody. Nobody is safe right now if you're in this top 5.
No, and one thing we've been talking about all night is how clean this race has been, how spread out it's been, and how controlled it's been. And now with that, the other thing it does is look at all the playoff drivers here that are now in a desperation position because, oh, by the way, about 5 of them were within 3 points of that cut line coming into this race. All of them have bonus points now. There is everything on the line. There's going to be just no holds barred on this restart.
And especially for the team championship, too. Tank's got first, 6th, 7th, with JW 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Man, it is tight throughout every championship standing that we have. The pace car lights are going to be off here this time by, meaning we're going to go back to green here after the first caution of the night with how much aggression. I don't even think it's aggression, just desperation, I think is the word. I would not be surprised if this is not the only caution we have here tonight.
Oh, and these are a lot of clean drivers in the running to try to advance to the playoffs. But, yeah, like you said it best, desperation time with 14 laps to go.
Well, here it goes, the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving here again at Auto Club. Only 1 caution so far, and it is a big one to shake things up here. Balliet gets to a good jump. Manning quickly jumping to the outside here. Balliet needs to hold on to this as long as he can. Utilize those front or those clean tires in that clean air. Seth Reed now making a move 3 wide on the backstretch.
What a dive, top to bottom for Seth Reed, and this is what I was talking about. They don't have those ice-cold tires. They've got a little bit of life already built into them, and look at the advantage that Reed and Manning had on those 2-lap-old tires.
Now we're watching Cortez. It's a tight moment for him, too. He doesn't have much cushion coming into this week, 5 points above that cut line, but Soucy is the one we're watching in the pink, trying to track down the 7 of Balliet right in front of him here. And, man, this is tight coming through 13 to go. Manning leading the way. Reed trying to get the lead back. Balliet just trying to salvage that 1-point cushion on the cut line. Looks like those tires coming to life now. He's taking a look to the inside of Seth Reed.
Yeah, the one thing right now that Joshua Soucy does not want to see, and that's Jacob Manning, Joshua Balliet, and Seth Reed are all ahead of him with Vincent Cortez right behind him. That would keep Soucy out of the playoff running right now to advance to that championship race. But we still got 12 laps to go to sort this out, and they're all still nose to tail, including Austin Reedy, the points leader, in 6th.
Yeah, and you got a very hungry Vincent Cortez right on the bumper of the 53-2. This is a big move for the team championship. Wow, Austin Reedy really coming to life. He came down as well, just I believe on that pit stop during the caution flag, and he's got fresh tires too on that 96. It looks very fast, and what do you know, here comes Austin Reedy, possibly going to make it 3 in a row here in the top 5.
Yeah, he took the big gamble, knowing that he was the points leader. He had the most wiggle room to do so. He did come down under that caution. He was the first one to do so out of that pit cycle. So he restarted in 10th, and he's now up to the 5th position. Cortez finding himself starting to possibly be in the danger zone, but Reedy gets around Susie, and that's going to put Susie back under that cut line.
I do not envy the position that Susie is in right now. You know he is trying to do the math in his head. He's just got to forget about it and drive.
Second and 2.
Both guys off the track, and it's going to bring out that caution here with 11 to go. Jackson Wade and Jovi Ray, it looked like here.
Yeah, the two drivers gunning for the lucky dog position, 1 lap down, so they had a lot to race for. And they got together a couple times, it seems like. I think once just this natural contact, Wade kind of drifting up, Jovi kind of dipping down a little bit, trying to keep it off the wall. And they just kind of met in the middle, and then just that second contact. I think it might have saved off of a caution, but that second contact kind of got them turned around enough. And I'll tell you what, that first, there's that little slide up, little tiny bit of net code as well. That's just two drivers just kind of going for the same piece of real estate, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there is any dirty driving there whatsoever. I think it was just, like you said, a battle for that lucky dog position, which is very vital if you want to possibly get back on the lead lap and in this thing. Jovi Ray, I know, definitely wanted to get back on that lead lap with how fast of a car he had, but a rough night for both of those guys. That's going to bring it out for the second time here tonight. So while they sort out the grid and get this thing ready to go again, we're going to step aside, run one final commercial break.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktacks.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. Drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
Well, Brandon, some more strategery. It's one of my favorite made-up words. Happening out here right now. We saw a few takers down pit lane, and we were talking during the break. We love the call here by Josh Susi. I think he was out of the playoffs regardless with the way that caution fell, and he was falling through the pack here. He comes down and gets 4 fresh tires, as well as Vincent Cortez behind him. So these 2 playoff drivers sitting above the cut line, they're going to have some cars to pass, but they have those fresh Goodyears on those cars.
Yeah, they made a big call, and I think Seth Reed on the driver chat just put it absolutely best. When they took the lights went out on this pace car to come to 1 to green, he just said, well, this is a nail biter. Yeah, yeah, it is.
That's Seth Reed for you. If you don't know him very much, he just can he can ease the tension a little bit with a little bit of comedy out there. But yeah, he's exactly right. This has been, well, it wasn't really a nail biter, but it has absolutely turned in that fashion here as we approach the Geico restart zone. We're going to see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving for the 3rd time here tonight, led by Jacob Manning. Seth Reed puts a big block on Austin Reedy there. Balliet back there in 4th. Now keep an eye on Susi and Cortez. We saw Reedy come up through the field in a hurry on those 4 fresh tires. And here they come in a big gaggle back here. 4 wide. Susi up top. Cortez down at the bottom. And they're going to come out side by side off of 2.
You say 4 wide. We've got the 5 wide coming through that exit for a brief moment there as they are going for everything here. Susi already picking up a couple spots up to 10th. Cortez a couple spots up to 11th. Cortez just knows stay as close to Josh Susi as you can.
Oh, man, and here comes Austin Reedy, of course, with 6 more laps to go after they cross the stripe this time. He is trying to go for a 3-peat here and sweep the round of 10, but a tough task ahead of him with some very strong JW cars. He's going to clear Jacob Manning potentially. Jacob going to stay strong on the outside. Balliet still hanging out there in 4th. Max Service up there in 5th. And there comes Susi. You see him back there in the paint car up to 8th. He's trying to run down that 7.
And he's got 3 cars between he and Vincent Cortez right now, including one of Cortez's teammates, Adrian Schumacher, who Cortez now gets by, but still a little bit of a gap building. Keep in mind, Susi lap led. Cortez has not led a lap tonight.
Yeah, so Reedy trying hard to clear Jacob Manning, not able to do so. Let's ride on board with Susi to see his vantage point. 5 to go. Got to imagine he is just trying to send this car. Look at him using the high line and just throwing this 53 in here for all it's got here. Unfortunately, not able to get to the outside of Nathan De La Rosa. You can tell that's where he wants to make the pass. He doesn't want to really take a look to the inside because that's going to hurt him in the long run, I feel like, even though he's got a car down there so far, Craig Lotslager, but he is trying his best to use that high line right now.
And high, wide, and handsome as the old line is. That's the route for Josh Susi right now. Oh, little wall scrape trying to keep it off there. But that also backs up Vincent Cortez a couple of cars now between those 2 playoff contenders.
Yeah, 4 laps to go, separating Balliet and Susi by 2 positions, a half of a second. And don't forget, like you said, Vincent Cortez in this cutoff mix as well. It's hard to really tell right now as far as bonus points go. We know Balliet has 1 in the bag. We know Susi has 1 in the bag. None for Vincent Cortez so far, so Vincent's got to be careful not to lose this 53, but up in front, Jacob Manning still leading the way. Reedy in 2nd, Reed in 3rd, Balliet 4th, Max Service in 5th as we come back to the stripe to take 3 laps to go.
And the fun part of this, you might be thinking, all right, where's some team help going to be? As Susi and Service get together, Service trying to block the run of Josh Susi, and Susi said, no, sir, I do not need to move over for you. But what that did is it slowed up Susi just enough. Cortez to the inside, 3 wide through 1 and 2, fighting for that last spot.
Yeah, and we know Max Service, I should say, not a dirty driver whatsoever. He's just playing defense out there for the team championship side of things. But that is really going to hurt Susi's attempt at getting up there to the 7. Susi going to send it in there big time here. He is killing those tires. He does not want to take any of them home here as they come back to the stripe here to see 2 laps to go. You can see Susi doesn't want any business of that inside line here. He's going to try and set Service up going here high side. Would not be surprised to see Service defending that high lane.
And I don't even think he's got enough life in him to really even try it right now. Susie going ultra wide here. These are basically qualifying laps at this point for both Susie and Cortez. They're going full gas out there.
Well, right there, you see the battle for the lead heating up too with 2 laps to go, really 1.5. Jacob Manning with a 1-car length lead over Austin Reedy. Jacob's feeling good about possibly staring down another attempt to defend his championship here in the Silverback Series. We're going to see that white flag waving here. 1 lap to go here in the last chance 160. What a name for this race, because you can see these boys are racing that way.
3 wide for 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's Cortez, Susie, and Service, all 3 wide with each other. Balliet in the mix as well. Balliet is far from safe in his own right. Only 1 point ahead of the cut line.
I do not know how this is going to shake out, but man, somebody might get moved here because this is big. Oh, they're wrecking back there. That's Cole Martin and Logan Truitt. They're non-factors in this race. Susie trying to send it in there to block Cortez. He shuts the door big time, but we'll have to see if it's enough. Coming back to the stripe, well, it's Jacob Manning's race. Oh, they wreck each other. Cortez and Susie back there.
I don't think that's going to hurt either enough for Max Service to jump in. I think Cortez is going to have enough despite all that. But the ultimate hard racing to the line for that final playoff spot and for the race win. My goodness, what a way to close out the next to last week here in Season 4. Jacob Manning with the win. But with everything that happened there, that almost kind of gets brushed under the rug.
My picture popped up just at the right time here. Yeah, I got to go ahead and apologize to my girlfriend downstairs because we were just hollering and yelling at the end of that one. That was exciting. Man, I know we didn't want those cautions to come out the way they did, but that certainly shook things up here. And unfortunately, that really shook things up for the 53 of Susie. I think his night's done as far as the playoffs go. It is going to be a close one as far as the team championship goes, as you see Jacob Manning burning it down here. Gets a little bit of a damage there. Hopefully that 1 point for the incident point won't hurt him too much or his team. But, man, just going through the team standings, you got Jacob in first, Seth Reed finishing third, with Nick Halda, my boy, finishing 7th, up 14 spots. So he'll be the third running driver for JW. And then Joshua Balliet comes home 4th, Max Service 5th, and Vincent Cortez in 8th. And I think the edge might go to JW. So I think they not only get the win here tonight, but they're going to tie it up in the team standings too.
And how about how competitive that series was, by the way? In both races, all 6 scoring drivers finishing inside the top 8 within the race. Unbelievable on the team championship side. That was just as good as this race trying to determine the 5 drivers going to Las Vegas for the individual championship as well.
So Jacob Manning going to continue to do his little bit of a celebration here. He's got plenty of track to do so. A big 2-mile oval to burn it down. And, well, I just heard the motor expire on that 50, so I think he is going to be done here before too long. Let's go ahead and bring up the finishing order here for race number 19 of 20 here this season. Jacob Manning, your winner tonight for the last chance at 160. Austin Reedy comes home 2nd. Seth Reed in 3rd. Joshua Balliet 4th. And Max Service rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, all playoff drivers there. Then a whole lot of non-playoff drivers in this one, but including one big name there in the playoffs. Craig Lautenslager will finish in 6th, top non-playoff driver in the field. Nick Helda in 7th. Vincent Cortez held on to that car after that contact, and the desperation push from both he and Josh Susie should be enough for Cortez in 8th. Logan Truitt in 9th. Bo Tiffany rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, and keep in mind, that's barring any penalties. If I'm sure there are going to be some unhappy drivers here at the end, but the admins will sort that out. Nathan De La Rosa comes home 11th, Michael Large 12th, Jack Johnson in 13th, Joshua Susie back there in 14th. If this result holds up, well, his chances at a championship are done here this season. Adrian Schumacher comes home 15th.
16th place will be Devin Zimmerman. Chris Bishop will finish in 17th. Cole Martin in 18th. Jonathan Byer will be in 19th. Daniel Bowdler will be the last car on the lead lap in 20th, and since it was a short field, 21st will be Jackson Wade. 22nd, Jovi Ray, and 23rd, Lucas Lyons, who was removed for incidents caused there late in the race.
Yeah, that incident alone just shook up everything. And, well, we're going to go ahead and bring up Seth Reed now to the broadcast booth, the driver finishing in third place here tonight. Seth, welcome. You got Brandon Domain. Brandon Olenek is my brother. Sorry, Brandon. Uh, Greg Olenek up here. Good to talk to you, man. I was telling everybody, I'm a big fan of Seth Reed, and well, we had our own battles as far as getting into the Final Five, and I'm super excited to go ahead and give you the news. I think you already know it. You're going to be battling for a championship next week in Vegas after a crazy race here tonight. How does that feel to kind of just take a deep breath and know you're going to be racing for that cash?
Oh man, that was the craziest ending right there. Trying to keep in mind Susie behind me, so that wanting to get him in, trying to hold Ballier off, so I don't give up a point to Ballier, so Susie has a better shot. Trying to push Jacob to the win. I wasn't going to try to split it 3 wide with Reedy on fresher tires. I was just in a box trying to hold my own there in third. That was wild. It was a wild 10 laps. It was crazy. It was probably the best 10 laps I've had in iRacing. That's for sure. And hats off to everybody in the top of the field there, keeping it clean and fighting, being inches apart from each other, and we all have a trust in each other. So it's going to be an interesting week next week, that's for sure.
I mean, you talk about how it was a great race to be a part of it. We were just yelling basically for 10 laps there at the end. It was that exciting. I don't know how the mics are going to work on the broadcast side, but one thing I was kind of yeah, one thing I was curious about during the race, though, is we were talking about JW versus Tank and the team side of things. Looks like from our table math, you guys might have done enough here for that race 2 win, which of course very, very important for y'all. But not going to say that just yet. We still got to work on bonus points. But what was the balance like between the team side and the individual side with everybody, it seems like, that was scoring points tonight for the teams being in contention to make that championship 5 as well?
Yeah, it was a fine balance, trying to balance the two with not just like the driver points, trying to finish the best you can as a driver, but managing that cut line too. With me, Susie, 1 point away from each other, Ballier, Tank, 1 point, Vincent, Jacob. There was a lot going on, a lot of scenarios going through your head, but I mean, our approach was don't race each other too hard. You saw me just pushing Jacob. I wasn't going to make it 3 wide on him. We would battle when we could, when it doesn't affect either of us. I think right before that first caution came out, I was getting in position to pass Jacob, and I was side by side with him when that caution came out. So there's just weighing the pros and cons and the risk, and yeah, just and then trying to manage strategy, trying to figure out what to do there, what lap to pit, trying not to give Tank a bonus point for lap led, but at the same time not giving an individual driver for a Vincent, for instance, or Ballier a lap led, because at 1 point, I know from 2 years ago, can definitely make a difference, because old Greg
I'm sorry,
beat me to the
man.
punch. Yeah, I ran through the scenario a couple times in my head, like if I needed that 1 point, what would I do? 2 years ago, Michael Larch was 1 position in front of me, and I feel like I could have moved him coming out of 4 at Texas to take the checkered to get that 1 spot to get in the playoffs, but it's not the driver I am. But I feel like I've lost a decent amount of points the last 2 weeks just with mishaps with lap traffic, for instance, or just wrong place, wrong time. And I felt like I deserved more so to be in the championship 5 this year than 2 years ago. So I was going to. I don't think I would have wrecked somebody, but I would have dove in there deep and see what would happen.
I have to agree, and I think Brandon agrees too. You've definitely deserved a spot here in the championship 5 here this season. So I'm pumped to see you finally get it here this season. Knew you were definitely capable of doing that. But Seth, before we get you on back down there to your team and you start getting ready for Las Vegas to potentially go for that $500 prize, who you get to think out there tonight?
First off, JW Racing. We came together We could have, all of us around the cut line, we could have been secretive about our lines, our tricks, and in practice, every time someone laid down a quick lap, we would show our screen and show where our breaking points were, and they would try to reciprocate it, and vice versa. And you could see it. You could see it with all of us running top three there for most of the race. Unfortunate what happened to Susie. He put together a really good season, so hats off to him. Jacob, he's been one hell of a teammate. It's fun battling door to door with him. Shout out to Nick, old Nick coming home 7th with his freshies. I think he's the reason I believe we did get the team. I don't unofficially in my head at least. And that's
23 to 108. You got it.
Heck yeah, and that's all Nick coming through in the clutch there on the last restart. Warrior Raps, hats off to them for coming on board. And they've been on board the entire season. I've been trying to get them up in the booth. I haven't done too well for them. I've been finishing top 5, but that finishing top 3 is a hard mark to get here this year with all the competition. Use SR51 for discount code for your next season wrap if you want. Rogue Energy, they've been supporting JW long before I've been a part of it. Justin, obviously, he's the one who facilitates our team discussions. He's keeping us cool. There's a couple times where we could have lost our cool there, but he kept us cool. He keeps us aware of the team battles. It's pretty easy to get selfish out there and race for the trophies, but he keeps the bigger picture in line. So hats off to him. He's playing a good strategy call there too, trying to keep Tank away from that bonus point, and he did a pretty damn good job. Everyone watching, shout out to my boy Bryce. He's watching every week. Daniel Keith, he's tuning in. He's rooting me on too. So I appreciate the support there. And obviously admins, like I say every week, thankless job. So I've ran in the booth a couple times the last couple weeks in the admin office, and it's a whole different perspective. And that's not a job I want. I'm willing to help, but it's not. I don't want to be the leader up there. I like to give the perspective of a racer, what I would have done, what should have been done in my eyes. But that's a whole nother world watching the races when something happens. And then obviously all the support that we get at SRN from all the sponsors. And then last but not least, the old broadcasters. You guys put on one hell of a show, and I can't wait to hear y'all screaming on those last 10 laps.
Yeah, that was you guys tonight helping us out with that. But man, we appreciate it, and like I said, very, very much looking forward to seeing what you can do next week out in Vegas. So go ahead, celebrate with the team on the big win here tonight, and celebrate your podium too, and get to work out in Sin City. So take care. Have a good night, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I appreciate the kind words too, pulling me in.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. So
no problem.
Take
care.
You too. Bye.
All right, so that was Seth Reed. He's going to be going for that $500 next week, and well, you could tell the man had a lot on his mind, a lot going on in that race, Brandon, and you could just tell from the way he was telling us everything that was going on. He had a lot going on through his head in those last 10 laps.
Little therapy session about a couple of seasons ago, too, it seems like. So exercising some demons there for Seth, so happy for him to be advancing on.
Yeah, we've had a lot of talks about that in the past, and it was a very tight race. Just like tonight, it comes down to it in the last couple of laps, so he definitely got it done here tonight. But speaking of getting it done here again this week, Reedy, I mean, as you got to tell me, are you disappointed? I mean, you've won the last 2 races coming into this week, and for a second, I thought you were about to sweep this whole round of 10. You come home second tonight with, I would say, the most momentum out of anybody in all 3 of the series heading into the championship. What was going through your head tonight? Were you just out there kind of having fun with that 18-point cushion, or did you have a little bit of nerves too coming into tonight?
Nah, I was pretty disappointed in myself. qualifying 17th is a hard battle to get through. I really wanted the three-peat. I feel like the three-peat would have been so cool. Sweeping the entire round of the playoffs would have been crazy. But I guess we got to settle for second tonight. But that's what happens when you make a mistake and you qualify 17th. You got to deal with that and you got to overcome it. So we did what we could, trying to split the race up with tires and whatnot. And I don't know if it really helped us or not. Jacob and the other boys, Seth Reed, they were out there, and by the time I pit the next time, they were 6 seconds ahead of me. So I don't know. Pitting early was a tough choice, but getting a second's good, I guess. It's not to win, but the only win that matters next is next week's.
I mean, you go through this first couple rounds of the playoffs, and just the table math in my head, your average finish in the playoffs right now is 2.4. I don't think you can get a whole lot better than that, but what is it going to take next week to close this thing out with all that momentum, carry it through to Vegas, and walk away as a champion?
Gotta win it. There's no other way. You gotta beat all these guys. All 5 of these guys are hard to beat every week, and we gotta get a good qualifying in, and we gotta save tire better. Jacob, all these guys are so good at saving tire. They're so good at everything on the racetrack, racing clean all night. I think we all shown that. I think I actually gave way too much room to the leader there in those last couple laps. I went back and watched the replay, and I think we'll be a little tighter racing next week. So there's gonna be a lot of factors. Qualifying is gonna be the number one for me, though. I think that's really, really hurt me tonight.
Well, man, I'm super pumped to see you moving on here into the final 5. I think it was a sure thing almost coming into this week with the amount of cushion and the momentum you had coming into tonight. And, well, second, not so bad. I know you're a little bit disappointed you wanted to get that sweep, but still, nonetheless, a great round of 10. But before we move on to Vegas and you get ready to put some practice down out there, who you got to thank here tonight?
I gotta thank the boys at Morreedy. We're getting this 3rd place championship next week, so that'll be pretty great. Team Designs with the paint scheme, and then Travis Anderson with the G's team with the great foundation.
Well, we certainly appreciate you stopping on by, and if I'm correct here, Brandon, I believe that they clinched that 3rd place.
Yep.
In the team standing. So congratulations on that as well for you and your Murray Reedy Motorsports teammates. You won 100-40 here tonight. You guys really put it on Phoenix Virtual Racing out there here this evening. So congratulations on that. Congrats on making it to the final 5. Congrats on just a great season so far. And go ahead and cap it off with a win next week at Vegas.
All right, let's go, boys.
All right, take it easy. So that was Austin Reedy. Easily the man with the most momentum heading into the championship 5, but I'd say he's going to have his hands full with the next man we're going to bring up here. Let's go ahead and track down Jacob Manning here, if I can use my mouse correctly. Bring him on up to the booth. Jacob, it's your boys Brandon Domain and Greg Olenek up here in the booth. You get the win, burn it down on the front stretch. You looked like you had the best car all night long, but what was going through your head here? I was telling everybody during this broadcast, I don't really think I've seen Jacob in a pressure situation such as this one, minus the championship race from last season, which you ended up coming away with that championship. But all year long, I don't think we've seen this much pressure on you until a race like tonight. What was going through your mind during those last couple of cautions?
Please don't let it be a repeat of last week. Man, I was so scared. I thought it was like deja vu or whatever you call it, because it's happening all over again. I'm like, I know this. I've seen this one before. It's going to happen again, isn't it? I'm going to get another win stolen, and I'm going to be out of the playoffs, and I won't have a shot at Las Vegas, and that's it for me. And we're going to lose the team championship, and we won't have a shot at it. And it's all over tonight, and I guess when you prepare yourself for the worst mentally, it makes it even better when it doesn't happen. So first and foremost, I'm so thankful to my Lord and Savior for being with me tonight, helping me do my best, because I don't even know. I mean, I'm kind of speechless.
I mean, it sounded like you were prepared for the worst, and it was definitely best case. You get the win tonight. You go to the Championship 5 next week in Vegas, and JW Racing comes out there, gets the win, evens up that series. So now you got the team championship. I mean, there's a lot to focus on for the next 7 days before getting to Vegas. But how's that prep going to be, and what's the mindset now, and trying to get all that closed out? What's it going to take next week?
I think, and this is just the way that we run the team. I'm putting the team first here, and I got to make sure that we can get all of us finishing up there, and I got to make sure we all have speed. And if I find something, I'm going to share it with my teammates because I got to get it out there to them. If they're way off pace, which is highly unlikely. But in that event, I got to help them out and get them up there because, we take pride in our teamsmanship. So I got to get that first of all. And then come second, me trying to get the championship again. And I think it's a little bit more laid back this time because, I already got a chip. But it'd be pretty cool to go back to back, I'd say.
Well, Jacob, I got to ask you, as the defending champion, who do you think is your toughest competition next week? You got Seth Reed, your teammate out there. You got Austin Reedy, who's been on an absolute tear here in the round of 10. Joshua Balliet and Vincent Cortez, the two tank drivers that you're also going up against in the team championship. Who are you eyeing the most here as a possible contender to take that championship away from you?
Nobody in particular. That's a really solid lineup. It's a really competitive championship this year. It's not really focused on one person. It could be any of us as far as I'm concerned. I fear Seth week in and week out, and I guess that's what makes us so competitive. But Ballier's been on fire all season. He's got multiple wins. Cortez got wins, and Reedy is especially come on super late here. So, it could be any of us, really. I'm hoping for me or Seth, but you never know till you get there, so you're just hoping for the best.
Well, damn it, Jacob. I'm trying to stir the pot over here, and you just give a pro answer like that. I got to give it to you on that one. But definitely looking forward to seeing you back out there next week, man. You deserve it. You've put on a heck of a season here in your title defense here in Season 4. Before we let you go, though, who you got to thank here tonight?
As always, I got to thank you guys for being up here in the booth. Super sad you're not going to be up here in the booth next season. But we prefer Greg over no Greg any day, so I'll take what I can get. And then, the admins who were up there tonight, making it great. I'm glad they didn't have to do too many, hopefully not bad decisions, but hard decisions. Hopefully they didn't have too many hard decisions to make tonight. Make it easy on them. Not too many cautions, got it over with quick, so that was nice for them. I got Justin Ride out, teammates, everybody who supports me, Don, Deborah, Mom, Dad, anybody watching, anybody who supports. And then, of course, Rogue Energy, which you can use code JW Racing for 10% off. Cylinder Door Sports, American Mechanical, Roof Sport. All these people that make it possible week in and week out and make wins like this so much better.
Well, we appreciate the kind words. As always, man, we'll send you back down to your teammate. I know you guys have a lot to do before we get to Vegas next Thursday, so definitely get to work and have a good night, and congratulations on the big win here tonight.
Y'all too. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was Jacob Manning, our winner here tonight. Man, just talking to all three of these guys, Brandon, you could tell they were kind of going through it there at the end of this one, I'd say.
Yeah, even Austin Reedy, who had that 18-point cushion coming in. I think, one of the things that we didn't really get a chance to talk about was so much going on at the end. One small mistake with everybody else running up there, and all of a sudden your championship hopes are dashed. So there was a lot of pressure on everybody. They all kept it clean. Obviously, there was that contact coming to the line on the last lap and that desperation push between Susie and Cortez. But other than that, entirely clean racing, very respectful racing, and man, that was just a heck of a show tonight.
Yeah, and I know not a lot of people big fans of the playoff format, but this is exactly why I am a big fan of the playoff format, because it comes down to races like this here. It comes down to the very end here of the round of 10 just to get our championship 5 And just to give you those names again, well, it didn't change coming into this week. It's all 5. We didn't expect that, with 1 point being the difference on the cut line. Austin Reedy, Jacob Manning, Seth Reed, Joshua Balliette, and Vincent Cortez. They will all be contending for that championship. And that championship race, well, it'll be raced here, same time, same place, next week, April 6th, for the championship. 165 out in Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So definitely come on back, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell so you know exactly when we go live. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. Next race going to be on Tuesday, April 4th, where the championship will be determined in the SRN Butt Kicker Cup Series. So for myself, Brandon Domain, and everybody behind the scenes, we wish you guys a good night and go faster.